Welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. I'm the Mayor, Councillor Ranka Rasik. I declare this meeting open at 7 p.m. I would like to welcome the members of the public who have joined us in the chamber tonight. Members of the public attending council and committee meetings are expected to behave respectfully at all times and not permitted to engage with the councillors or council officers during the course of the meeting. This includes directing loud and inappropriate comments towards councillors and officers or making noise that impacts council's ability to conduct its meeting. All persons present tonight have right to be safe and treated with respect. Council will not tolerate any behaviour that threatens the safety of anyone present in chamber or which disrupts the ability of Council to conduct its business on behalf of the community. You will be asked to leave the meeting if your behaviour is inappropriate, disruptive or rude. Due to ongoing disruption experienced at the council meetings, all members of the gallery are required to pre-register their attendance at the council meetings to support continuous effort to maintain a safe and secure environment for all participants whilst allowing council to conduct an ordinary meeting. In the unlikely event of emergency, please follow directions of council officers and the emergency procedures on the wall near the door. I would like to note I have given approval for Channel 31 to live stream this meeting. A recording of the meeting will be published on Council's website. We're going to go to item 1, acknowledgement of country. Councillors, please, everyone please stand for acknowledgement of country. On behalf of Brimbank City Council, I respectfully acknowledge and recognise the Wurundjeri and Bunurong people as traditional custodians of this land and pay my respect to the elders past, present and emerging. I ask councillors to remain standing for the council commitment. Others may be seated. As the council, we will act in the best interest of Brimbank community and consider the immediate and long-term impact of our decisions. We'll make our decisions fairly and without bias. We will uphold all of our obligations under the laws of Victoria and council's local laws, and we will act in accordance with our code of conduct. Councillors, please be seated. We're going to go to item 3. Apologies. Councillor Borg and Councillor Kerr have submitted an apology for this meeting. Item 4, disclosure of conflict of interest. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest for tonight? No, thank you. I'm going to go to item 5, designation of items as confidential. May I have a mover of a motion to designate items as confidential? Councillor Papalia.
Move the motion as per shared screen. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Yep, Councillor Nguyen.
I second that.
All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. We're going to go to item 6, confirmation of minutes of previous meetings. May I have a mover of motion to confirm the minutes of previous meetings? Councillor Nguyen.
I'm able to move the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Papalia.
I second the motion.
Thank you. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. Going to go to item 7, condolences. There are no items for condolences this evening. Item 8, congratulations. There are no items of congratulations this evening. And item 9, public question time. Mr. Beleva, I understand we have received questions from members of the public for tonight.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We have received 3 questions from the public for tonight. However, as these questions relate to operational matters and in accordance with the governance rules, they will be dealt with by council officers and not be considered as part of the public question process.
Thank you. Then we're going to go to item 10, petitions. There are no petitions to be received this evening. Item 11, minutes reports of delegated committees. There are no minutes of delegated committees. Item 12, officer reports. There are 8 officer reports for consideration by council tonight. If you have alternate or amended motion this evening, you must draft these motions and provide to the governance team via email so that they may be shared on screen and form part of the meeting. Otherwise, we may have to defer the meeting until the motion has been written, allowing the meeting to proceed uninterrupted. 12.1 Planning Activity Update and Delegated Decisions and Planning Scheme Amendment Update August 2024. Thank you, Leanne.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report presents the status of planning permit applications and decisions made under delegated authority for August 2024, as well as the status of planning scheme amendments for the same period. The report indicates that 76 planning determinations and 16 subdivision determinations were made. 56 new planning permit applications were received with a value of $17.4 million, that one planning appeal was determined at VCAT, and 3 planning scheme amendments are current with progress reported for 2 amendments. The officer recommendation is to note the report. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the director? No? I'll put motion to vote. Do I have a mover, of the motion, councillor Atakos?
I move the motion, I move the officer's report as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
I second the motion.
Councillor Papalian. Councillor Atakos, would you like to speak to this report? Councillor
No, thank you.
Papalian, no. Would anyone else like to speak to this report, councillors? If not, I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. 12.2 Climate Emergency Plan Report Card. Again, Ms. Deans.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Madam Mayor. This report presents the Climate Emergency Plan Report Card shown at Attachment 1 and highlights that a new climate emergency plan will be prepared in 2025 for Council's consideration. The report card highlights progress made to implement the plan over the past 12 months, including work to degasify the Sunshine West Community Hub, delivery of the Renew Expert webinar series, planting of over 88,000 trees, shrubs and plants across the municipality, and installation of 4 resource recovery hubs. The report card also highlights several ongoing challenges, including the importance of getting off gas, transitioning our fleet to electric, achieving net zero community emissions by 2040, adapting to the effects of climate change and reducing waste to landfill. The officer recommendation is to note the report. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the director? Do I have a mover of this report? Yeah, councillor Papalian.
I move the report as per the officer recommendation and shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Seconded, Madam Mayor.
Councillor David? Yeah. Councillor Papalian, would you like to speak to this report?
No, just to say thank you and well done to all involved. And I endorse this report to council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor David, would you like to speak to this
No,
report?
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this report, councillors? If not, I'll put it to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. 12.3 Financial Statement 2023-24 and Performance Statement 2023-24. Ms. Torma.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report presents the financial statements for 2023-2024 and the performance report for the same period and seeks your in-principle approval. The statements have been reviewed by the Audit and Risk Committee, who have provided their support pending a final VAGO letter. The auditors have also provided a clear opinion and do not expect any changes. The report has a lot of detail in it, but I just want to draw your attention to a couple of highlights. One is that we've delivered a surplus of just over $3 million, and that's absorbing a $7 million increase to depreciation as a result of asset revaluations, and that's the result of increase in replacement costs. We've also absorbed a nearly $15 million timing issue with the federal assistance grants, because you may recall that we received the 2023-24 grant in the previous year, and we only received this year's grant in July, so we had a $15 million gap there, but we were able to cover that. And finally, we delivered $55.6 million in capital works, and that represents 143 projects that were completed. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the director? Do I have a mover of this report? Councillor David?
I'll move the motion to
as per shared screen?
Business purpose, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor
I
Takos.
second the report as per business papers.
Councillor David, would you like to speak to this report?
No, Madam Mayor, I think it's required to councillors to be according to the report here, and I think Councillor Papali and myself.
Yep.
If according to that the councillors agree to it.
On the screen already. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to this report?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Would anyone else like to speak to this report? If not, I'll put it to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. Going to go to 12.4 Governance Report, September 2024. Ms Hill, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The monthly governance report is a standing report to Council in accordance with the best practice and good governance principles, and to ensure compliance with the Local Government Act 2020, the Code of Conduct 2024 and the Councillor Support Policy 2024. In this month's governance report, councils are asked to consider a summary of recent governance activity, councillor declarations of representations by members of Parliament, a review of the S6 Instrument of Delegation from Council to members of Council staff, and the tabling of the 2023-24 Audit and Risk Committee Annual Activity Report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a move of this report? Yes, Councillor Nguyen.
I'd like to move the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Yes, Councillor Riley.
I'd like to second the motion as per the shared screen.
Thank you. Councillor Nguyen, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, quite briefly. I would like to note that one of the reports in this report was a meeting between the Brimbank Youth Council, of which Councillor O'Reilly and I have attended. And it was a great meeting with our Brimbank Youth Councillors, and a few members of the Victorian Police have also attended to talk about safety in the West, especially for young people in Brimbank. Yeah, I would just like to note that, and I want to commend the other councillors and council for their activities and advocating for council's priorities. Thank you.
Councillor Riley, would you like to speak to this report?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. I think Councillor Nguyen covered it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillor? Would anyone else like to speak to this report? If not, I'll put it to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. Going to go to 12.5, Quarterly Advocacy Report, September 2024. Ms Hill? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report outlines Brimbank's advocacy highlights over the past 3 months. In addition to Council's delegation to Canberra in July and the endorsement of our federal election advocacy brochure, which were both discussed at the last council meeting, this report provides an update on the latest developments in relation to Melbourne's airport, the Melbourne Airport Rail Project and the Sunshine Precinct. The report also references Council's successful advocacy for the introduction of a mental health social inclusion action group in Brimbank and last week's Lead West roundtable with the Victorian Treasurer, Tim Pallas. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a move of this report? Councillor Takos?
I move the report as per business papers. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Yes, Councillor Dang.
I second it, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to this report?
Just briefly to say that I did attend the meeting with Lead West along with the Director, and it was a very invigorating discussion about each council's needs, and it was quite positive from Tim Pallas in regards to the Melbourne Airport Rail Link and the Sunshine Super Hub, where they are highly committed to delivering that. There will be a bit of time in recalibrating a lot of the contracts, but he understands the value that this will deliver to our precincts and our community. So I just wanted to say thanks for that.
Thank you. Councillor Dang, would you like to speak to this report?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Would anyone else like to speak to this report, councillors? If not, I put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. We're going to go to 12.6 Annual Report Card Sports Facility Development Plan and Community Service Infrastructure Plan. Mr. Fleming, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report is presented to Council to note the Sports Facility Development Plan 2023 and Community Services and Infrastructure Plan 2018 to 2038 report cards. Council has implemented many recommendations from the Sports Facilities Development Plan and also the Community Services and Infrastructure Plan during the 23-24 financial year, resulting in significant capital investment into community sports facilities, extensive planning for future facilities, and improvements in the management and delivery of both lots of facilities, also services and programs to the Brimbank community.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a mover of this report? Councillor Papalia?
I move the report as per shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Takos?
I second the report as per shared screen.
Councillor Papalia, would you like to speak to this report?
No, just to say well done to all involved. Again, significant capital investments seen in upgrading and providing new sports facilities. It is the heart of our community, brings people together, so it's good to see that investments there, as well as the external funding that was received. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Takos, would you like to say anything?
Just to add that I congratulate the Director and also the amount that's being spent on female-friendly change rooms, which really promotes more female participation in sports, which is great. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this report? Yes, Councillor Nguyen?
Yeah, I'd also like to highlight the report has mentioned like two big achievements as well in the community space, which is a new community-led Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander centre called Kuenda. And also we've completed a library services review, which is very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, councillors, before we put it to vote? I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. We're going to go to 12.7 Annual Community Report Cards for Community Learning and Participation. Mr Fleming.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report is presented to Council to note the annual community report cards for library services, neighbourhood houses and community centres and Creative Brimbank. The report cards highlight the initiatives to improve social inclusion, employment opportunities, lifelong learning and creativity through the programs and services offered through the libraries, arts facilities, neighbourhood houses and Brimbank Learning Futures.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any questions for the Director? Do I have a move of this report? Councillor Takos.
I move the report as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Yeah, Councillor Riley.
I'd like to second the motion as per the shared screen.
Thank you. Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to this report?
I just wanted to congratulate our libraries for the incredible services. I had the opportunity to be using the library last week. I was unable to get any internet, and the just the extent of services that they offer to our community, from filling out forms to access to printing, but also a lot of other stuff. It's just incredible. I've given some positive feedback for those particular staff, but I just wanted to congratulate all that they do for our community.
Thank you. Councillor Riley, would you like to speak to this report?
Yes, Madam Mayor, very briefly. I echo what Councillor Tarchos has said, and it was also great to see that visits to Council's 5 libraries increased 116%, and Brimbank's neighbourhood houses and community centres achieved carers friendly accreditation, and level 1 Auslan training was provided for 40 staff and level 2 training provided to 10 staff. So really good stuff to hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, would anyone else like to speak to this report? If not, I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. Thank you. We're going to go to 12.8 Annual Report Cards Community Strengthening and Social Planning Combined Community. Mr Fleming, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report asks Council to note 11 annual report cards that list key achievements, milestones and collaborations, as well as future priorities and focus areas for the next 12 months, implementing Council's policies and strategies and action plans that contribute to a healthy, safe and inclusive community. The 11 report cards are the Diversity Inclusion Settlement Action Plan 2024, the Children's Strategy 2023 to 2024, Disability Action Plan 2022 to 2026, Electronic Gambling Policy 2023 to 2024, Fairness, Equality and Respect Strategy 2023 to 2024, Homelessness Implementation Plan 2022 to 2024, Innovate Reconciliation Action Plan 2019 to 2021, the LGBTQIA Action Plan 2023 to 2024, the Mental Wellbeing Plan 23 to 24, the Safe and Inclusive Brimbank Strategy 2023 to 24, and also finally the Volunteer Strategy 2023 to 2024.
Thank you, councillors. Are there any questions for the director? Do I have a move of this item? Yes, councillor Nguyen.
I'd like to move the paper as per shared screen.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Papalia.
I second the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Nguyen, would you like to speak to this report?
Let's say yes, there's 11 report cards in this one item, but I hope this goes to show the community that yes, council does do the basics of rates, roads, and rubbish, but there is so much more that local governments can do for the community, as you can see here from all the things about anti-gambling to social well-being and volunteering. It's very wide ranged, and I'd like to commend the director for all their hard work and supporting the community. Thank you.
Councillor Papalia, would you like to speak to this report?
No, thank you.
Any other councillors? Would anyone else like to speak to the report?
Just to
Councillor
there
Takos?
is a lot of report cards, and I want to pick out in particular the gambling harm, because I think that our council in particular has really focused on this problem and been very proactive in offering alternative programs to try and assist people. Though we can't stop gambling, we are aware of the harms that it does to specifically to our vulnerable in our community, and I congratulate the advocacy and the constant letters that we're writing to try and minimise the harm that gambling does to our community. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak to this report, councillors? I'll put this report to vote. All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. Thank you. Going to go to item 30, notice of motion. There are no notices of motion this evening. Item 14, notice of rescission. There are no notices of rescission for tonight. Item 15, urgent business. Ms. Hill, is there any urgent business for tonight?
No, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Item 16, confidential business. There is one item of confidential business. May I have a move of a motion to close the meeting in accordance with Section 66(2)(a) of the Local Government Act 2020 to members of the public for the consideration of item 16.1, which has been designated confidential. Councillor Papalia.
I move the motion as per shared screen.
Do I have a seconder? Yes, Councillor Takos.
I second the motion as per shared screen. Thank you.
All in favour, please raise your hands. It's carried. Thank you to everyone who is currently viewing the live stream of this meeting. The meeting is now closed to members of the public at 7:23 p.m. and will not reopen to public at the conclusion of the confidential businesses. Thank you all for attending and for your interest in tonight's meeting. I instruct Channel 31 to stop live streaming this meeting.